Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Thursday, March the 18th. We're going to run through Thursday's 6-game slate, break it all down team by team like we always do. Just before we do get started with the breakdown, guys, as always, I would appreciate it if you would hit that like button down below. If you are new to the channel here, be sure to click that subscribe button as well. Click the notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You also get notified every time I do go live. Once again, I'll be live streaming this afternoon for tonight's slate, probably around 4 o'clock Eastern time as usual. We'll be breaking everything down, talking through the slate, answering all your guys' questions. So if you're able to tune into the stream, I should be live around 4 Eastern just to talk through everything, hit on any news that comes out throughout the day. As always, I appreciate all of you that do tune into the live stream. But yeah, guys, just hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, check out my Patreon content, link down below in the description as well. If that's something that does interest you, you want to see more that I have to offer, you enjoy the videos I put out on YouTube, you want to see more that I have behind the paywall, I do have some content on Patreon you can check out, link down below in the description. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at Thursday's slate. We'll start off with the Utah and Washington game, and right out of the gate, this is a pretty appealing game to start off with. Utah is missing a starter today, which I think, normally this is a team I don't really go out of my way to target guys on Utah when they're fully healthy. But now that we have Mike Conley out Thursday, that does change a good amount. That does make a lot of these guys much more appealing. So right at the top, I think Donovan Mitchell, 8,700. He's someone I really like on this slate. It's a great matchup against the Wizards. He gets a nice bump with Mike Conley off the floor. We should see Mitchell, handle the ball a little bit more. He's obviously going to be their primary point guard with Conley off. I really like Donovan Mitchell. It's a great matchup. The price tag really didn't move at all. Like we've seen whenever Conley sits, like Mitchell has a little bit more upside. Does he get like a massive boost? No, but it's a nice bump at least to where I think he should be priced a little bit more, especially for this matchup. Like DraftKings definitely should have priced Donovan Mitchell above 9K, I think. So I do like him a lot at 8,700. Love the matchup. Like that Mike Conley's out too. Mitchell's someone I'm definitely going to be looking to on both sides. I do like him a lot on Yahoo as well. $36 at shooting guard. I think he definitely stands out as one of the better shooting guard options on Yahoo today. Rudy Gobert without Conley, I don't know if that really affects him too much, but for 8,200, that price tag, it's pretty hefty. It is a really good matchup though against the Wizards. I don't know if Gobert is going to be someone I really target today, but he's fine as like a last piece in. If you're playing a lot of lineups, I would definitely have Gobert in my player pool just because it is such a good matchup. Just don't think he's like my, one of my main targets from Utah. But Jordan Clarkson, I do like quite a bit. Jordan Clarkson is not really someone I've played much this year, but whenever I do play him, it's usually when, Conley or Mitchell, whenever one of these guys are out, that's usually when I do look to play Jordan Clarkson. So with Conley being out today, that's a nice bump for Jordan Clarkson. He should get a few more minutes. We know he's always, a guy that's going to be productive when he's out there. He's going to go out there and take a ton of shots. Without Conley, he should be, their backup point guard basically when he's out there. I do like Jordan Clarkson quite a bit at 6,100. Obviously, great matchup, so he gets, a nice bump there as well. I wish he was a little bit cheaper, but I still think Clarkson at 6,100 is definitely appealing. I don't think Conley being out affects Bojan Bogdanovic too much. 5,900, he's an okay option. I would put him in the Rudy Gobert category. Not a top play from Utah, but definitely someone I at least have in my player pool if I was playing a lot of lineups. The next guy that I think really benefits without Mike Conley is Joe Ingles. 5,200 for Joe Ingles. I still like him even at that price point. He's super cheap on Yahoo, so I think he looks like a really good value over there. $13 at small forward. Definitely like Joe Ingles on both sides here. I am assuming that he does start for Mike Conley. Basically, whenever Conley or Mitchell, whenever one of the two has been out this year, it's always been Joe Ingles that moves into the starting lineup. So I'm expecting Ingles to start and probably play around 30 minutes, if not a few more. In a great matchup at 5,200, he has the upside to pay off this price tag if he's going to be playing over 30 minutes, which he should now that he will be starting. He's another guy I'm going to be looking to from Utah. There's a lot to like from this team. I think my favorite options are definitely Mitchell, Clarkson, and Ingles. Gobert, I don't mind either. Or Bojan, you could target too. Probably not going to go to anyone else though on this team outside of those guys. So we can go ahead and move on to the Washington side. With the Wizards, there really isn't too much I like here. Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook, I think, are always viable. They're always guys you could pay up for, but this isn't a slate where they're top options for me. It's a tougher matchup. They both feel priced appropriately. I would say Bradley Beal does feel a little bit probably too cheap at 9,100. But again, the matchup's not great. I think I'd rather play Donovan Mitchell for a little bit cheaper, especially with Conley out and in the better matchup. So I don't really like much from Washington today. Just not a team that really stands out. Alex Len did have a really good game on Wednesday night against Sacramento. He did have a double-double in 24 minutes. This is a matchup against Utah. Like, they're going to have to put one of these guys out there. Like, they can't really play small ball against Rudy Gobert. I think if Len plays well and he gets the minutes, like, he could definitely pay off 3,400. It's a risk. It's always a risk rostering one of these Washington bigs, but Len's going to get the first crack at it if he's playing well, if he's defending well against Gobert. Like, maybe he gets mid to high 20s in minutes again. And if he does, at 3,400, we've seen he has the potential to pay off that price when he gets the minutes. It's just the minutes are going to fluctuate from game to game. He could play 30, he could play 15, he could play 10. Like, there's a wide range of outcomes with the minutes for Alex Len. If I was going to take a shot on any of the Washington centers, though, I think it would be him. It just because he's still the starter and he's the guy that's going to get the first crack at it. But I think that does it for the Wizards. We can go ahead and move on to the next game, OKC and Atlanta. So on OKC today, we do know that Darius Bazley is going to remain out, but Al Horford is expected back for this game. Lou Dort and Theo Maledon, they are both questionable, though, so those will be some injuries to watch. That does actually impact a decent amount. If Theo Maledon is out, I would assume that Ty Jerome would move into the starting lineup, and he would become a solid value for 4,300. Not a great play, but would be viable at least. Steve Mikhailuk, I believe, is available. He was active for their last game, but he did not play. I don't know if he's going to play here. Like, he's healthy now. Like, he can play. I just don't know if he's going to be a part of their rotation right out of the gate. We'll just have to wait and see. But, yeah, I mean, we could maybe target Ty Jerome if Theo Maledon sits. If Lou Dort sits, then I'm not really sure who they would start. I assume Poku's going to start in place of Bazley. Like, maybe they start Justin Jackson like they did a few games ago. Maybe they start Kendrick Williams. We'll have to wait and see here with the starting lineup for OKC. But like SGA for 9K in this matchup against Atlanta, I think SGA, he's definitely someone I have some interest in on this slate. I do prefer Donovan Mitchell though for a little bit cheaper, but it's a really good spot here against Atlanta. Atlanta, they haven't been like as bad defensively this year. They're not playing as fast as they used to, but still a pretty appealing spot. SGA obviously has the upside. Look, he burned me last slate. I was high on him against the Bulls. I know a lot of people were. I'm fine going right back to him. He's not a priority like he was on the last slate, but I still think he is viable today. I don't know what I'm going to be doing, though, with these others OKC guys. I think it is going to depend on what their starting lineup looks like. Like last game, they started Poku, Roby, and Moses Brown. Obviously, Moses Brown is not going to start now that Horford's back. Moses Brown's just going to be the backup center. But maybe they start Poku at the 3 and then start, if Lou Dort's out, maybe they start Poku in place of Lou Dort. And then they start Roby in place of Bazley. Like, if Roby starts, he'd actually be a decent option. 5,400, he's kind of priced appropriately, but he did get 32 minutes last game he started. I'd assume that if he starts again, he probably gets around 30 minutes again. So we'll just have to wait and see. A lot of these other OKC guys outside of SGA, it's really going to depend on who's in or out, what their starting lineup looks like, before I really go to any of these guys. Poku, I'm expecting to start regardless. He burned me last slate. He was another guy I was pretty high on. I'm sure a lot of you played Poku on the last slate. He only played 29 minutes, which was definitely not what I expected. I was expecting to play, mid to high 30s. He wasn't really productive either. He started 4 games. His last 4 games, he started all 4 of those games. He's had 2 really good games and then 2 terrible games. So it's going to be hard to predict what you're going to get from Poku. If you want to take a shot on them, though, I think he is viable at least, assuming, he's going to remain in the starting lineup. But we can go ahead and move on to the Atlanta side and look at the Hawks. So we got Trae Young for 9,900. I do have some interest in Trae Young on this slate. I think he is going to be pretty low owned. He should be pretty low owned. He hasn't really been that good lately. He had that stretch where he was playing super well, giving you 50 fantasy points almost every night. He's kind of come back down to earth a little bit. The minutes have kind of been down as well, which is not great to see. Like against Houston, I think that might have been a blowout. I can't exactly remember, but he only played 32 minutes. Like, he hasn't really been getting the 36, 38 minutes that we normally expect from Trae Young, which I guess is a little bit concerning. But still, I do have some interest in him at 9,900. He didn't do great against OKC earlier this year. Lou Dort was, on him basically the whole game. If Lou Dort sits, that makes me feel a little bit better about Trae Young because Lou Dort is a very pesky defender. He's a really good defender. He's definitely going to give Trae Young fits if he's out there. But if, Lou Dort sits, I think it becomes a slightly better matchup for Trae Young. Like I said, I think he's going to be super low owned, so he's someone I do have some interest in tournaments. His price on Yahoo, it looks pretty good over there, $40. If you play on Yahoo, I do like Trae Young quite a bit at that price on Yahoo. But With the rest of these Hawks, it really just comes down to if Clint Capella plays or not. If Clint Capella plays, I don't have much interest in anyone else. If Clint Capella is out again, though, then I do really like John Collins and Danilo Gallinari. We've seen both those guys put up big games the last two that Capella has been out. Collins, 33 minutes, 46 DK points last game. Without Capella, the game before that, 31 minutes, 43 DK points. And then Gallo, he's been starting in place of Capella, 28, 34 minutes the last two games, 31 and 43 DK points. So we'll have to wait and see if Capella's in or out. If he's out, I do really like John Collins. I do really like Gallo. If Capella plays, though, I think the only guy I'm considering from Atlanta is probably just going to be Trae Young, and that's really it. So looking at the next game, Orlando and New York. So Orlando just continue to be riddled with injuries. Right now, Terrence Ross, I believe, is questionable. I believe Terrence Ross, Aaron Gordon, and Evan Fournier are all questionable. Gordon went through practice, but he remains questionable, and then Evan Fournier, I believe, is also questionable. Yeah, so with this Orlando team, if these guys play, I really don't like much from the Magic at all today. It's not a good matchup. The Knicks play really slow. They've been good defensively this year. Maybe if Ross, Gordon, and Fournier all remain out, then we could maybe look to a guy like Vooch. But again, the matchup's not great. I don't know if Vooch is really someone I want to go out of my way to pay up for today. But I would expect him to dominate the usage if all these guys do remain out. He's going to continue to dominate the usage like he has been. But this Magic team is just not a team I want to be too invested in today, especially if they get a lot of these guys back. Like, if they get back Ross, Gordon, and Fournier, I just don't really want to play any of these guys at their price points. Aaron Gordon, I think, would be maybe the most appealing, but we're not exactly sure how many minutes he's going to play. He's kind of been limited since coming back from injury. Only played 14 minutes in his first game back, and he hasn't played since then. So, yeah, it's just Orlando's a team I'm going to be, pretty much avoiding today. Now, on the Knicks side, I think the Knicks are actually a pretty appealing team because they are once again dealing with injuries to their backcourt. Derrick Rose remains out for health and safety protocols, while Elfrid Payton is also doubtful once again. So Elfrid Payton is not expected to play, and Emmanuel Quickley is also questionable. So this is a pretty big one. Obviously, these last few slates, Quickley has been a really good option with these guys out. He's been starting and playing pretty good minutes. He hasn't really been productive, but I would still like Quickley a decent amount if he does play today. But if he winds up out, I'm not exactly sure what they're going to do. I assume they'll probably start Frank Ntilikina, but Frank Ntilikina has not really been good at all lately. He hasn't really been getting a ton of minutes. I think the biggest beneficiary, if Quickley winds up out, it's going to be Alec Burks. Alec Burks is someone that can handle the ball. He's a guy that, they'll use as a point guard. He did get 36 minutes last game. He's been playing really good minutes off the bench. He's always been, a pretty productive player. When he does get minutes, he can go out there and score. He can, get you assists. He can get a few rebounds. Even if Quickley plays, I still have a good amount of interest in Alec Burks coming off the bench because I think he's going to get probably, around 30 minutes off the bench. But if Quickley winds up out, that just makes me like Alec Burks even more. He is definitely one of my favorite targets on the Knicks today. $4,900 on DK, pretty affordable. He's super cheap on Yahoo as well. $13, same price as Joe Ingles. He's definitely someone I'm going to be looking to as a pay down option at small forward on Yahoo. So do really like Alec Burks here, especially if Quickley sits. If Quickley plays, Quickley obviously is viable, and then Burks I would still have some interest in. He'd get a slight bump down, but I would still have interest in Burks. Now Julius Randle at 10K. This is a pretty hefty price tag for Julius Randle. He's been playing so well lately, though. He's been getting huge minutes, 50 plus DK points in 3 straight games. He's got over 60 fantasy points in 2 of his last 3. The matchup's not great. The price tag is pretty high. I still think Randle is viable in tournaments. He's not really someone I'm going to be playing in cash games, but in tournaments, I definitely think he's on my radar. He should be pretty low owned, I would assume. RJ Barrett, I think, benefits as well, especially if Quickley sits. He's just going to have the ball in his hands more. He's been playing much better lately. 30 DK points in 5 straight games, has 40 fantasy points in two of those last 5. So RJ Barrett, he'd be someone I have some interest in. He'd get a nice little boost if Quickley's out. But I think that probably does it for the Knicks today. I think my main target, if Quickley plays, I think my main targets are going to be Quickley and Burks. If Quickley is out, I think my main targets will probably be Burks for sure, and then RJ Barrett would get a nice bump. Even if Ntilikina starts for Quickley, I'm probably not going to play Ntilikina. He's not a productive player when he gets minutes, so he's not really someone I'm going to be considering. Worth noting that Austin Rivers is going to remain out as well, so I'm pretty sure I saw that he was going to remain out, so that just makes me feel even better about these guards. No Rivers, no Rose, Payton doubtful, Quickley questionable, just super thin. I expect big minutes for a guy like Alec Burks. But yeah, I think that does it for the Knicks, so we can go ahead and move on to the next one, New Orleans and Portland. So we just saw these two teams play a couple of days ago. It was a pretty high-scoring game, I'm pretty sure. I think it was a competitive game as well. Yeah, final score was 124 to 125. Once again, we should expect a very high-scoring game here. Two pretty fast-paced teams, two teams that don't play a ton of defense. I think out of the gate, Zion Williamson on this Pelicans team, he does look very appealing on the slate. I do like him quite a bit at power forward. He is definitely someone I'm going to be looking to pay up for at power forward. Even at 8,900, we've seen Zion has the upside to pay off this price tag. And this is a really good matchup against Portland. Like, Portland they have Robert Covington, who's a good defender, but he's undersized, I would say, when it comes to defending Zion. Enes Kanter's never really been a good defender at all. I like Zion a lot here. He's someone I'm for sure going to be looking to pay up for at power forward today. And I do like him on Yahoo as well. $39, I think if you can pay up the power forward position, I think he looks like one of the best options on Yahoo at power forward. So really do like Zion. I have a good amount of interest in Brandon Ingram as well, especially on Yahoo. He is very affordable over there. If you're not paying down at small forward for guys like Ingles or Burks, I think Brandon Ingram at $30 looks like a very appealing option. I do like him quite a bit, but I don't know if I'm going to be going to anyone else on New Orleans. Like Lonzo at 6,900, he just feels appropriately priced. He did have a really good game when these teams did play a couple of days ago. So maybe you could go to him. I feel better about Ingram and Zion, though. Josh Hart, I just never really play. Steven Adams, his minutes have just been all over the place. He's hard to trust. Same with Eric Bledsoe. His minutes have been all over the place. He's really hard to trust right now. So I think my main interest from New Orleans are definitely Zion, Brandon Ingram, and then Lonzo I think is viable too. But that does it for the Pelicans. Now looking at the Blazers here. So Damian Lillard, he was someone that I really didn't have much interest in last slate with CJ McCollum back, and he just went out there and had a huge game, 75 DraftKings points, played 41 minutes. He's really expensive. He's 11K. The matchup is really good, though. Like, obviously, Dame can go out there and put up, 60, 70 fantasy points any night, especially in a really good matchup like this. I just don't know if I really want to go out of my way to pay up for Lillard, especially with McCollum back. Like, I think Lillard does take a hit with McCollum back. I know he had a huge game last game, but I don't know if I really want to chase that. I think I'll let other people chase that. There's just other pay-up options I prefer today over a guy like Dame. If Dame goes out there and has a huge game again, then I'll just kind of eat it and, take my L, move on to the next slate. But I like other guys for cheaper. I really like Donovan Mitchell for cheaper. Zion I like quite a bit for, 2K less. CJ McCollum, on the other hand, he got 26 minutes in his first game back. He was really not good. I didn't have any interest in CJ McCollum. I would assume today that he probably gets like around 30 minutes. Still at 7,400, I don't think we can really play CJ McCollum unless we get word that he's not going to have a minutes limit at all. If there's no minutes limit, then I think he actually looks appealing at 7,400, but I would assume he's probably going to be on some sort of a limit again, which doesn't really bring him into play. Enes Kanter, just not much interest in. I think there's other centers I prefer today for cheaper that we'll talk about in a second. Rocco, Carmelo, just not guys I'm really looking to. Gary Trent, now that McCollum's back, I have no interest in, so yeah, this Blazers team, I really don't like many guys here. Lillard, you can play him if you want. I'm probably not going to play him. And if he goes out there and has a huge game again, then, like I said, I'll just take my L and move on. But I just don't want to pay $11K for Lillard now that CJ McCollum is back. I think that, Lillard takes a hit. He takes enough of a hit to where he's not an $11K player, in my opinion. I think we're going to see his price come down, eventually once he starts, coming back down to earth. So we can go ahead and move on to the next one, Minnesota and Phoenix. So in Minnesota today with the Timberwolves, we know guys like Malik Beasley, D'Angelo Russell are going to remain out. Karl-Anthony Towns at 9,400, just continues to dominate the usage on this team, continues to be a guy that, we can look to pay up for basically every slate. I do like him quite a bit here. I think he is one of my preferred pay-up options when you look at the guys above 9K. Like, I think I'd rather save almost $2,000 over Dame and play a guy like Karl-Anthony Towns. I do like this matchup against Phoenix. Phoenix has been really good defensively this year. They do play slow. But I still like the matchup against a guy like DeAndre Ayton. Ayton's never really been an elite defender by any means. This is definitely a matchup where Towns can have plenty of success. And we know, as long as the game is close, we're getting, 36, 38 minutes from Karl-Anthony Towns. He's been a, very productive player this year when given the minutes, obviously. So I do really like Towns at 9,400. Anthony Edwards at 7,100. I think he's more of a secondary option. Now, he's been really good lately. He's been playing big minutes, taking a ton of shots. That's obviously great to see. Still don't know if I really want to go out of my way to play 7,100 for Edwards, but as a last piece in, I'm totally fine with Anthony Edwards as a last piece in. If he fits my lineup, I don't mind playing him today. Ricky Rubio had a huge game last game. Only played 28 minutes, but did have 47 DraftKings points. Rubio's a player that he should be way more productive than he is. Like, he should be going out there and putting up 35, 40 fantasy points almost every night with him getting 30 to 32 minutes. Like, we know Rubio is someone that he can score. He's a great assist guy. I mean, obviously, he's a great passer. He's someone that can give you a double-double basically any night, points, assists, double-double. He can contribute with boards as well. At 5,800, I actually have some interest in Rubio today. With Jordan McLaughlin still out, I expect there to be a few more minutes available for Rubio. I think he's probably going to play, probably 30 to 32 minutes rather than 26 to 28. With McLaughlin out, with Malik Beasley out, that should open up more usage for Rubio as well, like it has, these last few games. Rubio's going to be, he's going to be a frustrating guy to roster because you really don't know when you're going to get that ceiling game from him. But we saw last game against the Lakers, he does have that upside. He can go out there and give you 20 points, 10 assists almost any night. I do like Ricky Rubio at 5,800. I think him and Towns are my two favorite targets from Minnesota, and I think Anthony Edwards is also in play. Probably not going to be looking to anyone else on Minnesota, though. Like, Jalen Noel at this point is just too pricey, in my opinion. I don't want to pay $5,200 for him, at least not on this slate. I think that does it for Minnesota. So looking at the Suns now, the Suns team, pretty easy team to break down, honestly. Booker, Paul, and Ayton, I think, are the three guys I would be looking to on Phoenix, but I don't think any of them are top options for me. Booker, 7,900 versus Paul for 7,700. I think I would prefer Chris Paul. Chris Paul is normally the guy I like to play over Booker just because Paul can contribute with peripherals, whereas Booker is a lot more scoring dependent. We've seen Chris Paul still has a ton of upside, even, at this late stage in his career. He's a guy that can go out there and give you 45, 50 fantasy points any night. He's shown he has triple-double upside. The matchup is really good against Minnesota. If I'm going to play one of the Suns guards, I think it is going to be Chris Paul. Now, DeAndre Ayton at 6,200. This is a really, really appealing price tag, but the minutes they just keep going down on DeAndre Ayton, which is a huge concern. Like, he's not playing big minutes anymore. He hasn't gotten over 30 minutes in, 6 straight games he's been under 30 minutes. So I really don't have any confidence in Ayton playing like 36 minutes. I think he's likely to play 28 to 30. It seems like they don't want to give him big minutes. They're content giving, Dario Saric minutes off the bench. It limits his upside when he's not getting big minutes, but the matchup is good. At 6,200, I think he is viable. There's other centers I'm going to prefer over him, like a guy, like Montrezl Harrell, who we'll talk about, but I think Ayton's viable. I think he will be super low owned. He's shown he has the upside still. He's been a frustrating player to roster this year, but the upside's still there for DeAndre Ayton. He can go out there and get you a double-double, can give you 35, 40 fantasy points almost any night when, at least when he's playing well. So I don't mind him on the slate. I think Paul and Ayton are the two guys I'm looking to on Phoenix, but probably not playing anyone else. We can go ahead and talk about the last game on the night, Charlotte and the Lakers. So looking at Charlotte here, I really don't like too much on this Hornets team. I think everyone on the Hornets are just, they're all appropriately priced. If not, a lot of them are overpriced in my opinion. The matchup's not great. I just don't really like much here. This is a back-to-back for the Hornets, so just keep an eye on that. I'd assume everyone's going to be good to go, but maybe they rest a guy or two on a back-to-back. I don't think they're going to, but yeah, I don't really like any Hornets today. No one stands out their price point. Devontae Graham's super cheap, but he's just not getting enough minutes. Like, if we were getting bigger minutes from Devontae Graham, I'd like him a lot at 4,200, but he's not getting the minutes, so he's really tough to roster. It's tough to predict what you're going to get from him. The Hornets are kind of like Washington for me, in like the Orlando as well. I think Orlando and Charlotte are two teams I'm definitely just going to be probably fading today. Don't really have much interest in anyone on this Hornets team. Now on the Lakers, there are a couple Lakers I do like. LeBron James at 10,700. I think he is a pretty solid pay up option here. LeBron's been another guy that's kind of frustrating to roster. Like, you never know when you're going to get that ceiling game from LeBron, but we saw against Minnesota, like, he can still go out there and give you a triple-double any night. This matchup against Charlotte, I don't think it's really a bad one by any means. Definitely a matchup where LeBron should be able to have success. Charlotte, they don't really have, like, any elite defenders that are going to slow LeBron down. As long as this game stays close, we should expect, mid to high 30s minutes from LeBron. Honestly, I would prefer LeBron over Damian Lillard. That's my preference. I know Lillard's been playing really well. It's a better matchup. It's a better game environment for Lillard, but I prefer LeBron here, especially since, CJ McCollum's back. I think that hurts Lillard enough to where LeBron's someone I would definitely be looking to pay up for today. Am I going to prioritize him? No, but if some value opens up, if we get a lot of cheap value that projects really well that I like, then maybe I'll jam in LeBron. Right now, I don't think I'm going to, but it just depends on, if any value opens up as the day goes on. The guy, though, that I really like from the Lakers is Montrezl Harrell. So with Marc Gasol and Anthony Davis both still out, we're seeing Montrezl Harrell consistently get pretty big minutes off the bench, and he's someone I'm looking to for sure at the center position. He's probably my favorite center on the board right now. I like him on Yahoo as well at $24. Definitely think he stands out as one of the top center plays on Yahoo today. So just over their last, 3 to 4 games, we've seen Montrezl Harrell play at least 25 minutes in 4 straight games. He would have played more against Golden State had it been a close game. That was a huge blowout, so he lost minutes due to that. But these close games he's been in, 29, 32, 33 minutes. I think as long as tonight's game stays close, we probably get 30 to 32 minutes from Montrezl Harrell. He's been super productive this year. He's always been a very productive player when he does get minutes. He's been a fantasy point per minute player. It's a good matchup against Charlotte. Charlotte's always been a team I like to target, with opposing big men. They've never been good defensively against bigs, especially not, over the last few years. So I definitely like Montrezl Harrell here. We know he has the upside, can give us 40-plus fantasy points when he's getting 30-plus minutes, which is what he's going to get right now. Even though he's coming off the bench, even though they're starting Damian Jones, Damian Jones is really not going to play much at all. He's probably going to play just 16 minutes, and those other 32 minutes are going to go to Montrezl Harrell. So I do really like Montrezl Harrell from the Lakers. I don't mind Dennis Schroeder either. He does get a nice bump with AD out. He's been super frustrating to roster lately, but I think the upside is still there for Dennis Schroeder. Now, I would prefer to roster Montrezl Harrell, but Schroeder's a decent option. Same with Kyle Kuzma, 6K. Kuzma had those 2 really good games. He's kind of come back down to earth over their last 2, though. But still, we know Kyle Kuzma does have some upside coming off the bench. He does get a bump as well with AD off the floor. But I think my main targets for sure from the Lakers today are definitely LeBron and Montrezl Harrell. I do want to mention Talen Horton-Tucker, though. So he is $3,900. He is super cheap, and he's actually been getting really good minutes lately. Their last 2 games, he's played 28 and 26 minutes off the bench. He does continue to get pretty good minutes off the bench with Alex Caruso out. I think Alex Caruso being out has been a big boost for Talen Horton-Tucker. Obviously, no Anthony Davis helps as well. If you're needing a cheap value below 4K, I think right now below 4K, Talen Horton-Tucker probably looks like one of the best values below 4K. We don't have a ton of value that cheap, but if we're going to get mid-20s minutes from Horton-Tucker, he's always been a productive player when he does get minutes. Can definitely give you 30-plus fantasy points in 25 minutes. So I actually like him a good amount as a value play at $3,900. I would say he's up there with LeBron and Montrezl Harrell as my favorite targets from the Lakers. Probably would put him ahead of LeBron. Definitely Harrell number 1 and THT number 2. Right now, I think Markieff Morris is probable. Yeah, he's probable. If he were to sit, that'd make me like Horton-Tucker even more, but I assume Markieff's going to play. But yeah, with Alex Caruso out, that's definitely helped Talen Horton-Tucker to get more minutes, and we've seen him be really good in the minutes that he's gotten lately. So do like him as a value play from the Lakers today. But I think that does it for all 6 games tonight, guys. I appreciate you watching the video as always. Before you do get out of here, just hit that like button if you haven't yet. Hit the subscribe button as well. Be sure to click that notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload, and you also get notified every time I do go live. I will once again be live streaming on my YouTube channel on Thursday afternoon around 4 Eastern time. If you are able to tune in, I will answer all your guys' questions, break everything down once again for tonight's slate. But yeah, best of luck tonight, guys. Appreciate you watching the video. I hope you did enjoy, and we will see you in the next one. Good luck, guys. Peace.